BYU and Stanford, a good old-fashioned Big 12 ACC matchup. I can't even get through that without laughing. Listen, all right, no, this is actually where I want to start with that one. Is it? I hope I don't get in trouble for this. Is it ironic that after getting rid of Retzlaff, they win a game 69-0? Like, is that? Am I allowed to make that joke, or am I going to get in trouble? But anyway,
everyone's been exonerated.
I'm not in school right now, so I can make that joke. Is there anything you can glean from a 69-0 loss? I liked what you said in our last segment, that you can't glean a lot of positive, but you at least know that your floor is not we suck, right? Like when you beat bad teams the way they beat Portland State, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that one live, sorry. But when you beat teams like that, 69, you at least establish that you're not a bad team, right? You may not be great because you beat a bad team, but you're not on their level. You're much better than the absolute worst case scenario of 2-10 FSU. So, but how much can you glean from that? And then just early thoughts on that Stanford game.
If we could somehow put, and this is just the BYU Stanford matchup before I kind of give you the context and talk about last week. If we could somehow put the TCU North Carolina game on steroids, that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a mockery of college football. Stanford may score negative points. They may score more points for BYU than they do themselves, which is hard to do, but they will find a way. They could be the worst. Legitimately, I mean this, the worst Power 4 college football team that we've seen since those putrid Kansas teams of 8 years ago. And what I do know about BYU is, again, they don't suck. If they had gotten a situation where they lose to Portland State, never would have happened, or they win 35-34 like Kansas State did similar against North Dakota, that's where I say, okay, your floor is going to be at that 2 or 3 win level. That is not good. You have not showcased to me that your floor is high. When you win a game by so many points, because it's the only thing you can do. BYU could have won by 110. They could have won 55-0. We'd be having the same conversation. There is no difference in those scores other than you beat the crap out of someone who's not good at college football. For BYU, what that tells me, because you didn't struggle, you didn't lose, is that you don't completely suck. That's the first thing I need to learn. Now, this week against an FBS opponent, I need to know, hey, when you play guys who are a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, do you still not suck? Stanford would lose to North Dakota State. Stanford would lose to South Dakota. They would lose to South Dakota State. They would lose to Sacramento State by double digits. They would lose to anybody at the top of the FCS by double digits, and maybe even more. They lost to Hawaii 23-20, and we just saw Hawaii get blown out by Arizona 40-6. And I don't think Arizona is going to be very good this season. Again, transitive property doesn't always work in college football. But if we're breaking down how good Stanford is, it's not. It's zero. There is nothing here. There's no saving factor for a team that's been off for a week now and needed it after they lost to Hawaii 23-20. Their starting quarterback in that game against the Rainbow Warriors, 15 for 30 with an interception. That's not good. I mean, they ran the football decently. Their leading receiver, 1 catch, 36 yards. This is just bad, man. This is just, it's really sad. BYU is favored by 18.5. They're at home. It's one of those 10:30 Eastern kickoffs as well. I'm taking BYU minus the 18.5. I think over 46.5 is going to hit because BYU can hit it themselves. Stanford's defense is not going to do anything. Arizona held Hawaii to 6 points. Stanford allowed them to score 23. This is going to be a bloodbath where BYU blows out. If you go to any of the betting sites, BYU is going to make a mockery of Stanford to the tune of hitting the over themselves and winning by 18.5 easily.
Bachmeier had 97 yards, 3 touchdowns, only threw the ball 11 times. Do you think they let him open it up a little bit more? Or if the run is effective, which it certainly was with Martin having 131 yards this weekend, do you think they try to let him open it up a little bit more for games later down the road where they'll need him to throw the ball more?
No, I hope not. Like, what was crazy about watching this BYU game, and I watched every Big 12 game this weekend and learned a lot about every Big 12 team. And I again, what I learned about BYU is that Bear Bachmeier doesn't suck. Is he going to be a Heisman quarterback this season? I don't know. And I won't know until they play somebody legit and he proves himself. What I did see, though, is a guy who opens the ball game, handing the ball off really well. And then he himself rushing 5 times, 32 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's solid. And BYU, once they got up like 35-0 or 28-0, they started to let him throw the ball just to see what he could do. And there toward the end of the first half, he was slinging the ball around the yard, made some really good tight throws into small windows. And that gave me the confidence Bear Bachmeier isn't going to pee down his leg when in a moment where he's got to go out first, second, third drive against a Big 12 team, against a Power 4 team. Now he gets to play a Power 4 team, just one of the worst ones you could possibly concoct. I do believe that BYU will allow Bachmeier to throw more than 11 times. I would be surprised if he throws more than 20 times. That's probably not a great sign unless they truly are trying to open the playbook up a little bit more to build his confidence up before they go into, honestly, their toughest non-conference game next week on the road against East Carolina.
Yeah, looking ahead a little bit, we wondered what BYU would be this year. Man, it feels like they've got a really good chance. And this is no slight at anybody else ahead of them. But based on 1 week, and you don't want to have 1 week overreactions, it just doesn't seem like it would be too shocking if they went into that Utah game at 6-0, right? East Carolina, Colorado on the road, and I do think they'll bounce back. West Virginia, Arizona, but they're going to be favored in a lot of these games. And so they could get to that game at 6-0. And my goodness, if we get a holy war of 2 teams that are undefeated, then sign me up for all of the hype around that. But you got to take it 1 week at a time. BYU fans watching this, you know that. But at the same time, neither you nor I are playing. So we're going to talk about it. They have a chance to have a really good start to this season and claim bowl eligibility in their first 6 games.
I agree. They're going to beat Stanford. They'll win on the road against ECU. They have a bye week prior to that ECU game, which, again, is their first really big test. ECU played North Carolina State pretty well, only lost by 7, but they were down 24-7, had to rally for 10 points in the fourth quarter, came up short. Colorado, that didn't show me much. I mean, it's in Folsom, but we're going to see a more dilapidated crowd, I think, as the season goes on for the Buffs if they do not turn things around and become a top 25 team, again, which is going to be really hard to do after that loss to Georgia Tech. Then West Virginia being in Provo. I think West Virginia is a very good football team. That's a dangerous game within itself. That's a very dangerous game. West Virginia, Nico Marchiol looked good. I watched the entirety of that game as well. And aside from some early fumbles, West Virginia would have won that game. Really, they won it going away, but really going away of 70-plus points. Couldn't take care of the football in the first half and still blew out Robert Morris. They'll be a formidable opponent. BYU should win by 10, but it's going to be tough. Then Arizona on the road. Arizona looked good against Hawaii. Yeah. That still should be 6 games BYU is favored in going into Utah, coming to Rice-Eccles Stadium, or I should say to LaVell Edwards Stadium after BYU beat them in Rice-Eccles last year. The pomp and the circumstance it's already building for that matchup. I will be on hand for the Holy War this year. I just couldn't miss it. The hotel room is booked. I'm excited. Both teams could be 1-5 when they come in there, and I'm still going to be pumped up. So I think that is shaking up to be one of the bigger matchups in college football. And maybe we don't see College Game Day there, but you'll see me there.
Locked On Big 12 will be there. Give me a score. I know you like them big, but I'm going to make you do it. Maybe not 69-0, but what's your score for this one?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Stanford's got a good kicker. They always seem like a school that would have a good kicker, right? They got soccer's pretty good.
No offense to the kickers, but kind of nerdy,
Yeah, I would go to Stanford too if I was a kicker on a scholarship. BYU is going to hang 55, and Stanford's going to score 3. Maybe 6. But as you're like, oh, that sounds kind of dramatic. Did we not just watch TCU North Carolina, Big 12 ACC? It's going to be something very similar to that, except Bill Belichick's not coaching for Stanford, so ESPN will not care about this game.
Yeah, I'll go 52-13. I'll say they get a late.
Hey, look, I'm fine with that.
A late touchdown to. Like UNC did last night, that kind of like garbage time touchdown against the backups.
Also, if you are a betting man, anybody out there, I would bet this line now. It should shift. I wouldn't be surprised if it climbs to 21.5 before kickoff, and that's just dangerous, hook territory, so I'd buy now.
Drake, where can people follow you, get your content?
At Locked On Big 12, wherever you find your podcasts, and on YouTube. 5 days, 6 days a week, something like that. Now we are just wall-to-wall coverage of the Big 12 Conference. At Drake C. Toll on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Always fun, TJ.